Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be taking a look back at a recent auction of vintage paperback and pulps. Now, the prices realised here, plus the amount of vintage paperbacks and what was on offer, really is quite staggering. It's well beyond the ordinary, and I think you're going to really love looking through this because, well, it's quite mind-blowing. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look. Okay then, so the sale was at Warren and Wignall auctioneers, and I think they're fairly near Manchester. And this first lot here was a huge run of the number-only pan paperbacks. It was virtually a full run, including all the early unnumbered ones there, the hardbacks and the unnumbered paperbacks. Quite a nice little run, some in dust jackets. There was but 24, 25 in dust jackets. There's a handful there that are in dust jackets. It does include Casino Royale and Moonraker, the two priciest ones in the original lot. Yeah, just missing an odd one. Not every day you see a virtually complete set of numbered pans come up for sale. And this lot went for £2,100, plus 25% buyer's commission if you were in the room. If you were bidding online, it was another 8% on top. Now, this was a nice batch of G series. These went for £300 plus commission. The actual auction house weren't delivering, so you couldn't get them to post it to you. You had to go and collect. The auction house do delivery, but only for small things like jewellery, so you sort of had to be there, really, or be able to get there within a couple of days of the auction closing. Here's a little run of the original great pans. These went for £200. And not bad, it's first 100 great pans, just missing the odd one. In reasonable condition. The lower grade ones and reprints are in a lot, which comes up a bit later on. But not a bad lot. Now, the first of a run, it was an incredible penguin collection. Not every day you see so many offered in one hit. The auction house broke them down into lots, so they weren't numerical. They were just like, this is the fiction ones, these are the crime lots, these are the travel ones. Without going through them in the room, it was very difficult to ascertain which ones were first and which ones were reprints. You really had to be there, or you could actually call the auction house and they would check specific books for you, which is what I did. But even so, I think the penguin lots went for a lot of money considering the condition. There were some rare ones there, don't get me wrong, and we'll see those in a minute. But like here, this batch of orange, we were missing Biggles and we were missing Full House. So two key books, but that went for £320 plus commission. This is the first of the crime lots, and this lot went for £680 plus commission. And in each of these lots, there was a handful of the rare ones. There's like 4, 5, or 6 of the ultra rare wartime ones. But on closer inspection and from people in the room reporting back, they weren't all first printings. So there may be, if someone's bought these online, which I suspect they have, because they weren't going to buyers in the room, these are people bidding online, I suspect they may end up being a little bit disappointed because quite a few of these were actually reprints. So that is a shame if someone's just collecting the firsts. Now here's the lot I wanted, because this contained the very last Penguin First Edition that I need, which is Death on the Borough Council. Yes, it's a crime one. There were 5 other rare wartime ones in here that I was prepared to pay a decent price for on this lot, and then sell the other ones on down the line. Alas, I got outbid. I wasn't the underbidder. I was the third in line. This is the one I want. I actually emailed the auction house. They came straight back, sent me some photos, which was good. But it also brought the attention to everybody else that this one was in there. My man at the auction house said that that was actually the best of the rare ones that I pointed out to him. And 2 of the books in that lot that are rarities were reprints. So just to let you know. So £1,200 that went for, plus another 25% or 33% commission. This lot here, £700 for lot 129. Once again, it's got a smattering of nice rarities, as you would expect. It's such a shame that you could have pulled out. If the auction house had just contacted a penguin expert, such as myself, I would have gladly pulled out like the 20 or 30 ones that would have warranted being auctioned on their own. They still would have, I think that would have resulted in better return for them, but who knows? Who knows? It was just one little part of what you'll see was quite an astounding auction. Now, as I said, I've got a couple of friends who were actually there. This lot here went for $320. Some of the later crime ones in nice nick. I had a couple of friends who were there, and they reported that the auction house itself wasn't exactly packed with people there. And there weren't people on the phones. It was all internet bidding. And Warren and Wignall are one of the local sort of auctioneers who put their lots through the saleroom.com, which is like a portal for auction houses to go national, basically. This lot here went for $280 plus commission. So it's a good idea for auction houses, and I think they reach a much wider audience. So, but a week before this auction, only one person had mailed me and said, "Oh, have you seen this?" Now, as it got closer to it, in fact, the day before, a big Instagram account, Designed for Today, which is run by publisher Joe Pearson, himself a big penguin collector, although he's got all of these, of course. This is a great lot. £1,300 plus commission. All the early Agatha Christie's, including number 6, and the variants were in there. In fact, 2 copies of number 6, but I didn't get to check those, so I don't know if they're firsts, but I assume that they were. But back to what I was saying. So Joe Pearson, on his Instagram feed, which has got over 100,000 followers, posted some photos from the auction saying, "Penguin fans, if you don't know already, there's a huge lot of penguins coming under the hammer." And he gave all the details. And that probably alerted an awful lot of penguin collectors who then got tagged. I was tagged in it about twice. And all the major penguin collectors that I know of in the UK who are actively collecting all got tagged. So it would be unlikely that any big penguin collector didn't know about this auction. And consequently, I think that really did drive up the prices on these penguin lots more than they're really worth, in my honest opinion, even with the rarities taken out. But there you go. It's always what someone's prepared to pay. But I think either suddenly the vintage paperback market has got absolutely red hot, as we'll see later on with some of the lots, or people have more money than sense, which I just don't know. I can't help feeling that if people have been buying these through the internet and they'll be collected over the next couple of days, I think there might be some disappointed buyers ultimately. So this lot here, a bit more reasonable, £240 plus commission. Of course, it all depends on what you're looking for. If you're a collector who hasn't got many of these rarities and you don't just need 1 or 2 from each lot, buying them in bulk like this is probably a cheaper way of doing it. There's no extra postage for each book. Then, and as long as you're happy to have the odd reprint, maybe you're not going to go too far wrong. But, I don't know. I very much contemplated going up to the auction and, seeing the books in person and then bringing them back the same day if I won anything. But I'm very glad I didn't make what would be an 11-hour round journey for me from where I live. So, I did save myself an awful lot of grief there just to go up to be outbid. So, there you go. Obviously, someone's asked about a couple of particular books and they've come back with the photos and added them to the description. And we will see that with some of the like one-off Philip K. Dick hardbacks and things like that, which we'll see in a minute. This lot went for 400 plus commission, so 500 if you're in the room, or a little bit more than that, about 530, 540 if you were bidding online. a mixture of the travel and adventure, which there are people who just collect those cerise ones, which is quite a fun series because there's not hundreds of them. It is quite an attainable one if you are into your travel books. And they are a really nice selection of books, though. Some good authors in there. This is one of the lots I quite fancied, 121 Penguin Classics, because I don't have an awful lot of these. I've got maybe 30, if that. Once again, it went for slightly more than I'm really willing to pay. I don't really want to pay more than £1.25 for any of these Penguin Classics. They're quite plentiful, and they generally turn up in nice condition because nobody reads them. This was a lot. It went for £70 plus commission. That was actually worth it because you've got the 3 Quatermass books in there. H.G. Wells, well, you got some of the good ones there. There was a copy of Burmese Days, George Orwell. That's quite scarce in Penguin. That was not a bad lot for £70. Whoever got that did all right, plus the commission. That was a pretty good bargain. Now, a box of P.G. Wodehouse, £45. That's probably about right. Obviously, I haven't checked the printings of those hardbacks, but none of them are in wrappers, and none of them are the particularly early books. But 45 wasn't bad for that lot. Little box of Gladys Mitchell, the crime writer, 160 plus commission, so a couple of £100. If you're into her, all in hardback, they don't look too bad condition. That was probably all right. Another author I'm not 100% familiar with, 420 for this box of George Bellairs. It's a sort of crime stroke thriller writer. An instant collection. Still don't know whose collection it was. It was in a house clearance. This seemed a bargain, £180. I mean, I know they're not great, but there's some scarce ones in there. There's an early Ed McBain, which were published in Boardman. That seemed a bargain to me, but I didn't go through it, of course. We don't know whose collection it was yet. Just because it was up north, it doesn't mean it was someone who lived up there. That's quite a nice lot. I did see one book. It was signed by Brian Lumley, who of course did recently pass away. But I mean, I met Brian Lumley lots of times, and we chatted a lot because he lived really close to me, even signed in my shop, and we discussed old paperbacks, and he knew I collected penguins, so I can't imagine the penguin collections come from him, but possibly some of the later books. This one here, look, a huge lot. They were actually 240 miscellaneous penguins, later ones, 1960s ones. That's a great lot because that's an area where I'm filling in lots of gaps at the moment. I've got the earlier stuff, it's the 60s, where I'm actually quite short. A huge lot there, and I might have been tempted with that. 240 though plus commission, probably a tad more than I'd want to pay. Then we got a little run of just general thrillers, and from what I understand, speaking to a couple of dealers who were looking at this lot, it was like there was 1 or 2 odd books per box, and the rest of it was pretty trashy, to be honest. So, well, make of that what you will, really. I don't dwell too long on these in this video, but of course you can always just pause and have a look. And don't forget, if you're registered, you can actually go to the auctioneer's website and have a really long look through yourself and blow the pictures right up and have a little look. But in a lot of cases, it's just spine on. There's a very early Colin Dexter there, not the first Inspector Morse. I think it's the second one, but still quite expensive. I spotted that one there. But as I said, there's 1 or 2, sometimes a few more really desirable books in a box, and that's it. The rest of it is, sort of tat, really. And thrillers. It's the sort of stuff you perhaps, casually pass over a lot of this if you were in a bookshop. But there was so much of it. I know it was like a house clearance, so it must have been a pretty big house. Absolutely stacked with stuff. Now this lot went for 620 plus commission, so I suspect there was some good stuff in here. And the fact that this one's been singled out and had some extra photos, it was probably this one here, High Magic's Aid. So this is obviously a key book, 1949. I believe it is, it's the first printing. Another one that someone inquired about, My Best Spy Stories. Very nice Faber there. But a reprint, I believe, yeah, new edition. So, there must have been something in there. It's probably that other book that we just saw. £400 for this box of Assorted Crime, predominantly. Yeah, see, that's a really nice copy of that one. So maybe someone bought it literally just for that. Don't remember ever seeing the hardback. It's been backed though, which is a shame. The paperback's quite common, of course. Yeah. So £100 for this lot. Another box. There's a few lots like this, and we do fly through them. Don't dwell too long on them. This was nice. Now, obviously, I wasn't in the room, so I don't know the printing history of some of these. But there's a copy of The Drowned World here. All I can assume, there we are, is that was a reprint, because the whole lot's gone for 360 plus commission. That to me seems cheap, unless there's reprints in there. I just don't know. 48 Glance Yellow Jackets for 380 seems a good price to me. This is an odd one that they pulled out, I guess thinking it was going to go for a lot more than it did. £25. So they were wrong there. But this one, very, very nice. And this is the one, I think, which has got Brian Lumley's signature in. So not sure what's going on here. This has gone for 100. Yeah, there we are, like Brian Lumley. For the APM. What is it? I'm sure someone watching this video will know whose collection this is that we're looking at. But yeah, that one's signed by Brian. So what is going on? But that's a nice book, that. Very, very nice. Arkham House. You're not going to go wrong with that. First, a Goldfinger for $2.20, admittedly in a tatty dust wrapper. And the book itself is a bit foxed, but that's actually not too bad a price for that, because a lot of Bond collectors are more than happy to have a facsimile. And, they wouldn't keep that on the book, but at least they've got a first printing. I believe it was quite foxed along the top edges when I had a look at this. But, it's better than most. And the gold there is quite nice because it's been in a wrapper. Yeah, a bit dusty in that, but that could clean up. That wasn't too bad, even with the commission on top. Amazingly. Yeah, Silmarillion. Quite a recent book, really, isn't it? 1977. £50, that's about the going rate, isn't it, for that? It was the first printing. This was a surprise, £9.80 plus commission. So you're looking at, 1,300 quid here. All the books are reprints. They're the original jackets and they're early printings, but they're not first. None of them are firsts. I'm really surprised that such later printings have gone for such big money. Best part of £1,000, In fact, over £1,000 with the commission. I am very, very surprised at that. Someone definitely wanted those, didn't they? Box of science fiction hardbacks, 180. I reckon 1950s, circa 1950s. And as I said, speaking to some science fiction experts about these lots, it was just so frustrating that there was just one or two, possibly three books in an entire box that were worth, chasing after. It's such a shame that the auction house itself didn't get in a couple of experts to sort this lot properly. It would have paid absolute dividends, but there you go. There's some good stuff in here. Nice copy of Dangerous Visions, and again Dangerous Visions. Really would like those, but it's hard to tell with the pictures, isn't it? Unless you were there. So, 140 for this little lot. Once again, I'm sure you'll see some good stuff in there. So this is a box of Science Fiction Book Club, which I do collect. There was 4 early ones in there and a few later ones, or 5 early ones actually in wrapper. But £90 for that seems very, very expensive to me, plus the commission. I don't think they were worth that. Another little box of science fiction. 140 on this lot. That is actually quite a nice copy. Look at that, £2. But yeah, pretty nice dust wrapper on that one. And the first printing, 1950. I guess that was the one that someone really wanted. Another very, very similar lot. And of course, we haven't even started yet on the pulps, the science fiction pulps, which we will see some really, really nice runs of those. It was an incredible collection, and here's the first one. So 275 issues of Galaxy, £110 plus the commission. So if you just wanted these as a starter collection with a view to maybe upgrading a few down the line, this was the lot for you. The thing is, with pulps, the average collector who was collecting them for nostalgia is pretty much gone now. People who had these back in the day, in a lot of cases. So who is actually buying and collecting pulps? That is the question. Now, there's some that I certainly like, so late 50s, 60s ones. I really like the look of them, but I don't know. Is the market, I don't know. It seems a little flat, and I think that is just how it's been. This seemed a nice lot for £80. I mean, I'm no expert on the pulps, I have to say, so, but there does seem to be some nice early ones in that little lot. 47 issues of Amazing Stories, and Amazing Stories Quarterly. This went for $3.20. You see, these are cents copies, so these are American imports. I mean, as I said, you know, it seems a pretty good price. I mean, we're not there in the room. The condition is variable, I think, is probably the best way of looking at it. This lot went for £500 plus the commission. So evidently some nice earlier standings in there, and they do look very, very nice. But there's just something about the pulps. I just don't really enjoy sitting down and reading them. It's just the pulpiness of the paper. They are what they are. They're lovely, you know, as objects in their own right. And they look lovely bagged up, and you can admire the beautiful covers. But to physically read them, I don't enjoy that. This little lot went for 100. Later pulps, of course, digests, I should say. You know, from the like early 70s upwards, they're still very much readable. But earlier than that, I do find them quite tricky to read. £55 for 73 issues of Fantastic. That's not bad. I mean, it's less than £1 each, isn't it? You know, it would be sort of an instant collection. Thrilling Wonder Stories, £380 for 45 issues. I mean, they do look fantastic, and maybe some dealers have bought these and they will end up going on resale, maybe going online, maybe going back to the States. Who knows? Who knows? This included issue 1 of New Worlds itself. Quite the rarity there on the middle row. Very, very scarce. Miles more scarce than any other number. Perhaps number 200 is also scarce and sought after, but that is the actual copy of the original cover of number 1 is very, very scarce. £400 for that lot plus commission. I am not surprised. Some crime, thriller, detective and mystery pulps now, £950 plus commission. So you're talking £1,100 for this lot. But as you can see, there's some very, very early stuff, some very desirable stuff by the look of it, and some real rarities there. Some very, very nice stuff indeed. But that is insane money. That is a lot of money for that. But, you know, some of that stuff there is almost 100 years old. Yeah, interesting. Very, very nice to see that. 160 pulps, £180. Mixture of mystery and some horror pulps, they said. Crypt of Cthulhu, I see there in the back. That's the sort of thing that'd be very, very interesting to certain people. Absolutely fascinating if you're looking at the history of genre fiction. It looks like horror especially. Very, very interesting lot. I wonder who bought that. but it looks good. I'd like to have a look through some of that. £400 for some more pulps, wonder stories, amazing stories, early stuff again. Some very, very early titles there. Look at those, Science Wonder Quarterly. It's not every day you see stuff like this, is it? Quite the collection. And Planet Stories, that's another cracking one. I mean, not so much even for the content, it's just those great covers. Yeah, amazing. So this is the rest of the New World. So 81 issues of New World, £85. Now, these are the more common ones. This is not number one, but it's from number two up. Includes some of the paperback ones, including number 156, which is the one I'm after. So if anyone's got a number 156, you see it down there in the bottom. Second appearance of Terry Pratchett's published work. Goes for, online it tends to go for about £20-25. I just can't find a really mint one, so if anyone's got one spare, give us a shout. But that was a good lot. I would have bought that definitely myself if I'd have been there. I would have gone up to maybe £120-130 on that. 51 issues of Fantastic went for £50. Another quite fun little pulp title. Worlds of If, 192 issues for £100. So, with the commission, you're paying just over 50p an issue. And that's not bad, is it, really? Not too bad at all. Assorted Pulp magazines, £280, 57 issues. Some real classics there, yet again. Nice early ones from the 30s and 40s. Not your everyday thing that you see, is it? Super science stories. Yeah. Dynamic science fiction. Some cool stuff there. I mean, really iconic stuff. £280, it's not bad, really. Assorted science fiction magazines, £95 for this little lot. Yeah, don't know. Is what it is, that one. There's a few of these little lots now. It's 160 for 47 issues of Startling Stories. Once again, that doesn't seem too bad, and that may be a little reflection on the general pulp market. But I mean, look, there's got to be some good value in that, hasn't there? Probably just depends how fussy you want to be condition-wise, because some of this collection, like the penguins, the pans, everything, they're not all tip-top shape. So that is worth bearing in mind. And we do have more paperback lots to come in a minute. 300 issues of Analog, £170. So perhaps £200. I mean, quite a common title, even in the UK. You come across these all the time. Looks like a full run of all the magazine size runs of Analog. Not particularly rare. So consequently, that's why they've not gone for big money. But it was an instant collection again. So if you didn't have any, or you were just looking to get into collecting it, that was the way to do it. And there's some brilliant stuff in there. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, 170. Not bad, really, is it? Assorted pulp mags and annuals, £260 for this. So not loads for your money, but there must have been some good stuff in here for it to go for £260. With the commission, probably about £320. Those unknowns, look at that. They do look pretty cool, don't they? And they are early. I see the early 1940s. Yeah, I don't know a lot about them, but they do look pretty cool. So that's probably why they've gone for the good money. Yeah, and that Marvel Man annual's rare. £680 for this little lot, but it's Weird Tales and highly collectible pulp magazine, perhaps the most famous of them all. So, I mean, they're not mint by any means, but they don't look that bad. There's a few other books in there as well. Tales of Wonder. A few duplicates. But yeah, £680 for that lot. huge lot, £120 for a huge lot of Ellery Queen. I mean, you see these around all the time. I mean, I don't know anyone who actually collects them, but there they are. The Saint Mystery Mags, that's quite a nice one to collect. And there's some of the Alfred Hitchcock in there as well. So once again, a lot of these lots, they've sort of pulled bits and pieces, and the lots sometimes don't quite make sense, but there you go. They put all those in together, and that's a huge lot. £120 doesn't seem too bad to me. All right, look at this. £880 for the first UK edition of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Look at that. There we are. It's not something you see every day, and they've taken plenty of photos of it. So it's not mint, but it's pretty nice. It's sadly got that foxing along the top, but that could be looked at. It's been protected. The dust wrapper's been protected. Very clearly the UK first. A tiny bit of spotting on the edges there. £880. Wow. Best part of £1,000, isn't it, with the commission? But a classic book. It's a key book. £170 for this Philip K. Dick. Flow My Tears, the policeman said. Lovely to see in the first printings. A bit of an earlier one here from the 50s, 1956, World of Chance. Not in such great shape, but, how often do you come across it, I suppose, Smith's Lending Library as well. Even that's rare in itself nowadays. But yeah, £90 plus commission. Ubik, 160. So this will be about 200. The UK first will be Ubik. Yeah, foxed sadly, but that's how it goes. Then 6 Philip K. Dick hardbacks, including that very nice copy of Time Out of Joint, which is one I would really like, in the Science Fiction Book Club library. Very much would like that one. They turn up online, but they're always like, 50 quid, and it's never worth that. That's unusual, isn't it? A later one, of course. A Faded Spine, but pretty rare, I would think, that. Yeah, 170 for that lot. Well, it's probably about right. This was interesting. £130 for a box of assorted Philip K. Dick and Kurt Vonnegut Jr. paperbacks. Quite a nice little run there. There's some nice ones in there. There looks to be some nice condition books in there as well. I still think it's slightly over what I would have paid. I mean, it definitely is over what I would have paid because I'd be doubling up, but a nice little lot all the same. Now, this lot went for £340. Now, Ray Bradbury is obviously super collectible, and it's not every day you come across some of these in hardback. So a lot of the key books were there. And the auction house took lots and lots of pictures, so I zoomed through them. Evidently they had some interest on this. Yeah, I do pick up Ray Bradbury in paperback, and I'm getting a little run of them together now. I just love his short stories. I think they're fantastic. And his more classic work I'm a real fan of. Yeah, but they weren't all firsts, as you can see. But, get on the auction house for taking plenty of photos, because initially that was just that. And then as the week went on, they added more and more photos as people inquired. So £190, R.A. Lafferty, including some signed editions. So if you're a fan, and looking at the condition, that actually doesn't seem too bad, a little lot, that. And a few other goodies thrown in, a few more Ray Bradburys as well. So that actually wasn't too bad a lot, and I didn't think the price was too bad either. So I think someone probably did all right there. I am guessing. Yeah, Street and Smith, astounding. 300 issues for £260, including, look at all these early ones here. So they're the ones that you don't generally see. Those are the ones you see all the time that are really, really common. But the earlier, larger format ones, they just don't seem to turn up in really nice shape, do they? And the early ones and that with the yellow spines, those ones are actually around. I've seen a few of those, but it's just that little period, I guess, during the war, when paper rationing makes those ones scarce. The Magazine of Fantasy and Science, 628 issues for £240. Look at them all. 628 of them in one huge lot. It's absolutely mad, isn't it? Massive, massive run. I mean, if this was one guy who collected all these, who's maybe passed away and they've cleared his house out, what he must have been buying on a monthly basis is astounding. Because these pulps must have been bought like on subscription. There's no way you could have gone around and tried to collect all of these. I wouldn't have thought, not without buying them at the time. So I'd love to know who he was and a little bit more about who amassed such a incredible collection of paper collectibles. It's just don't usually see this sort of stuff come up on the market. £320 for these sort of miscellaneous pulps. Here's some interesting books in this lot as well. Some scarcities. Big run of Sexton Blake Library. Well, it's got its fans. I am not one of them. The London Mystery Magazine. Some good stuff in there. Yeah, some good stuff. £320 that went for. 2 boxes of assorted detective and crime. I wanted this lot. It went for £80. This is a lot I actually, it was slightly more than I wanted to pay. But there's some bits and pieces in here. Some Toucan. There's Hutchinson Crime, Jackdaw. Just pre-war paperbacks. I would have been quite tempted with that. 4 boxes of crime and mystery. Miscellaneous, another lot. Got some interesting books here. Unfortunately, there would have been some that I've already got, but there is the Hutchinson film edition of A Yank at Oxford, which is the Laurel and Hardy film, which is really nice. That's quite collectible, that. £240 for a box of 74 Boardman paperbacks. Hardly ever come across those. I've only ever had a handful. I don't collect them, but I quite like the look of them, but it's not something I've ever desired to collect because there's not enough authors that I like. This was a very, very good run of Puffin books, 270. There was all the very early ones, looked like the first sort of 100 almost complete, and then like these here, some sort of 60s and 70s ones. I did spot number 1 in there, which is pretty tough, that actually. Wurzel Gummidge in Puffin first. There it is. That's quite scarce, but you can't quite see the condition of it. There was a pile of Puffin picture books, and they do photograph them separately, but there's none of the rare ones there. And also the first paperback of The Hobbit was not there, number 161. So I don't know, it's still a brilliant starter collection if you're just getting into collecting Puffins, and probably worth the price that they've paid. Even with the commission on top, it would have made it about 460 quid. Probably worth that. This is a nice lot, but it went for £420 for 152 digits with a few pyramids thrown in. It's just, I don't know, seems expensive to me. I mean, it just seems that seems over the top. It seems almost like full retail. There's, you're buying a huge lot there and there's no value in it at all. There doesn't seem to be much, not much in the way of a bargain, which is a shame. So I think, a few dealers might have missed out on that possibly, unless they saw something really rare in there. Who knows? Maybe there was a copy of Junkie that we just didn't spot. But, pointless me going for it because I'd just be doubling up on stuff. So I'm glad I wasn't in that race. So this little batch of Pelicans, 157. The rare one's right there on top. It's a services edition, which maybe goes for about a tenner, at most, really. And it's got a big stain on the front, so I wouldn't hold my breath. But, there's lots of early ones there in wrappers as well. So, that was about right, about the going rate for those. These are quite nice. These went for much more than I was expecting, £260. And once again, I suspect that the majority of those are later printings. The Collins White Circles, their printing history includes all the hardbacks. So unless you really got a run of them, or you've got a good knowledge of them, it's so easy. Well, it's very, very difficult to pick out the first unless you really know what you're doing. And most of those look like reprints to me. A box of King Penguins and some Zodiac hardbacks as well. I did have a cursory look through the hardbacks, and the rare, more expensive King Penguins are not there. They're not included. So they are missing. Magic Books from Mexico, Life in English Village, missing. $2.20 plus commission. Cherry Tree books, hardly ever come across those, particularly the early ones, which I actually quite like. Once again, I would have loved to have got these in actual fact, but the money that they've gone for, but there's some nice early crime there. Very scarce. 110, probably about right. £500 for this little lot, and it was 175 books. And when you have a look, I think the titles have an element of sleaze about them. There's some Beacom titles in there. There's definitely some rare books in there when you look at it in detail. But a bit of a mishmash again. 500. There is some good stuff in there. You just had to really look for it amongst a lot of the rubbish. Yeah. One for closer inspection. This was lovely. I would have loved to have got this, but unfortunately, once again, I would have been doubling up on a lot of the Ballantine stuff I've already got. But I was amazed. It went for $2.80 plus the commission on top. That seemed well over the top. I mean, it really did. I was very, very surprised. Yeah, not sure what's going on here. Unless there's some real rarities. I'm not sure. Not sure there. But nice to see. Do love a Ballantine. This was a lot I would have dearly loved because although I would have had some, of course, there was lots in there that I would have really, really liked to have added to my Fontana collection. But 380 plus commission. I mean, that is bananas. But there's loads of Agatha Christie in here. I think what's actually sold this lot is the almost complete run of the Fontana Book of Ghost Stories. And those are collectible in their own right. And they do tend to go for, well, £10 to £20 a copy. Look at them all. There's more later on as well, and I think that's probably what's bumped this lot up. I wouldn't be so fussed about those. I just wanted the early blue and yellow spined Fontanas. That's what interests me. But alas, it's mixed in with all those ghost books, so that's probably why they went for $3.80 plus the commission. Big run of Arrow and Ace, which is an unusual combination. £240. Plus the commission. Once again, I mean, I don't know. I think there was some good stuff in here, but once again, I think the condition was a bit questionable, to be honest. But some good stuff all the same. Some nice titles. Obviously, a bit of a mixture of more recent stuff as well. 80s stuff, they've just lumped it in because it is Arrow. I spotted The Prisoner, book 3, American Ace printing. That's about £30, isn't it? They're pretty rare in the UK especially, if not more. So, yeah. That was scarce. You got some early Ace doubles in there as well. I mean, they've definitely got their collectors. Yeah. Some good stuff there, I suppose. But whether it was worth that sort of money, the jury is out there. Yeah. Questionable. $2.40? I don't know. Seems, once again, a little bit over the top. This, however, I thought perhaps wasn't too bad. $160 plus the commission would have made it like a couple of hundred. I mean, I do like Corgi, and there does seem to be some very early ones in there. Plenty of science fiction as well. There's some good titles there, which would have been quite nice. I would have been doubling up on some of it, but that wasn't a million miles off what I perhaps would have paid for that lot. just at first glance without going through it, of course. 243 science fiction books, £340. This was the only lot which had some Badger paperbacks in. Yeah, it's a console, which you don't see lots of in any great depth. World books, some Hodder. I mean, a bit of a mishmash, but it's a sort of lot I would have loved to have got my teeth stuck into. Nice runs of miscellaneous science fiction there, vintage SF, you've got to say. Some other more collectible authors there, Cornell Woolrich, and that was all the Foursquare that was on offer there this time round. A few good ones I spotted. Brian Epstein's Cellar Full of Noise, a few others there I wouldn't have minded getting my hands on. Yeah, but 340, they can keep it. So it's a Panther and Bantam books. Big old lot. And we know we like Panther on this channel. And the early ones looked in, pretty nice nick. But they didn't have any of the really, really early ones. But still not a bad little lot. Condition, though, I guess you had to be there to really gauge the condition of these books. A few of them do seem a little bit the worse for wear. But I'm sure there's some good ones in there. Some Keith Roberts I spot there. Lots of Clark Ashton Smith. Yeah, some good stuff there. 274. This lot for £50 wouldn't appeal to a lot of people, but I would have definitely had it for that. Yeah, £50, not a bad price for that at all. Although I would be doubling up, but there's quite a bit there. I don't think I've got some very, very early ones which weren't part of the main series that Guild did. But not many people collect Guild books, so I'm not surprised it's only gone for £50. £220 for 149 door books with their distinctive, although these ones are faded, yellow spines. They're very, very much faded, and you can clearly see that. Not all of them, but the majority of them there have been kept in the sun. And that is the killer with door. See, those ones are a bit better underneath. But the bulk of those there, as you can see, I wouldn't be looking to keep any of those ones which are so badly sunned. They need to be bright and yellow. Ideally. £140. It says miscellaneous. It's got some compact in here. We've got the SF Impulse, Science Fantasy, when it went to paperback form, the pulp. Some little anthologies and that. A nice little box, a decent all-rounder. Some decent science fiction in there if that's your thing. And I think a few people would have enjoyed that particular box. Certainly there would have been some stuff in there that I wanted. So, yeah. I wonder who's ended up with that one. £140. That was, I think even a dealer would have made some money on that. Fawcett Gold Medal, 181 for £280. There's some good stuff. They put some of the best ones on the top there, the Harry Whittingtons and what have you. But there's nice Philip K. Dick. I mean, once again, not too bad, a little lot of that. And this is coming towards the end of the auction now. There's not that many lots left. And maybe we were getting a little bit of buyer's fatigue. £110 for assorted runs of pulps here. Some miscellaneous bits and pieces. Quite a lot to go through. Lots of odd stuff there that I'd love to pick through, in actual fact. But Authentics, the Isaac Asimov, SF magazine. A real mixture, you could say. Here's that second lot of pans. This went for 500 plus commission. And I think this is the rejects. It's the lower grade copies and the reprints from the ones that were at the very start of this auction. And you can see all those different copies of Lost Horizon. Those are all different printings. I also noticed in this lot there was a copy of Agatha Christie's 10 Little You-Know-Whats, which is pan number 4, but it was the second printing, which is also, there's a second and third printing, both collectible, and I am actually after the second printing of that one. That was in that lot, which I would have liked to have got, but this lot, £500, and predominantly for reprints and lower grade copies from the main run. But I mean, there's some good stuff in there, that's for certain. And you know, if you're a starter collector for pan, I bet there's lots in there. They didn't look too bad. Doubles of the Greats at the start there, and also that copy of Richard Chopping's The Fly, also quite a scarce pan book there. But 500, still a bit more than I would have expected. And this is a huge quantity of books, but went for £95. So you know, quite a lot of books. Not the end of the world. You know, we fly through these. There's some good stuff in here. I mean, there really is. I would imagine dealers would have been the ones who've hoovered some of this stuff up. These slightly massive lots, which haven't gone for mega money. I suspect it's dealers who picked these up. But I don't know. I don't know if anybody's won anything yet. When I'm filming this, I'm just looking at the results and thinking, I didn't get that last penguin. Little run of picadors there. I would like to pull all of those out and have all of them. But yeah, feel free to pause the video and have a look through. Some good stuff in that box. Yeah, see, I think to a general book dealer, that was actually a pretty good little lot, that. For £95. That was all right. This lot went for 300. A large quantity of paper. Look at it all. This is £300 worth here. So, plus commission, of course. So make of that what you will. Was it £300 worth? It's hard to tell, but it doesn't take a lot, does it? It only takes a few valuable paperbacks, and the entire lot is worth it then. You know, if there's a few bits in there that you want. I just have to hope that the person who bought that lot of Penguin books that had my one in, that they've already got the one that I want, and they're just going to give me a call, drop me an email, and say, Jules, are you interested in this? I say, yes, I am. Yeah, difficult to know. I mean, it's just a lot of books, isn't it? I guess, you know, you'd need a van, but 300 plus commission seems a little bit steep. This lot went for 70 plus commission, so, you know, about £85. Once again, so I've got a lot more modern stuff in here as well as some vintage. But I'm sure somebody saw something in there that they wanted. Yeah, an awful lot there. I fly through it, but there's a lot there. Yeah, and a good runs of science fiction. So the sort of lot that would suit a dealer again, I would think. And of course, as we film this, the paperback show is mere days away. So any entrepreneur might be able to turn some of this around very quickly. But yeah, absolutely huge lot. Massive. So only 70 quid that lot went for. That was a steal, wasn't it? This lot's £60 for another big old batch. I don't really go into it in detail, but 60 quid, you know, I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? Another large quantity of books, various, nothing too special here. I mean, dozens of pictures, but, you know. This is quite nice. I thought this was the complete Theodore Sturgeon in these really nice hardback editions. These went for 200. I guess they collect, well, it's everything. The complete Theodore Sturgeon. Yeah, a couple of hundred for that little run. Don't see them very often. 1 to 13. Then there's some like art books, there's cartoon books. We zoom in on a couple of them just so you can have a little look. Looks like the collector was into it. This is quite nice. It's £90. It's got almost all the Penguin art books, but it's missing Massacre by Cine, which is the rare one. Once again, yeah, some of the key Penguin rarities were not included. This lot I particularly like because you've got two rare comics there, Weird Tales 100-pager and the Superman 100-pager beneath it. Then you've got all those Dan Dare books which go for about 50 quid each. You got Batman from the 30s to the 70s in beautiful condition. That's a 30 quid book. Yeah, £130. You would have more than got your money back on that. This was another very interesting lot, £240 plus commission, but absolutely stacked with books on sort of science fiction art, as well as a couple of graphic novels. So that was a good lot there, for sure. Yeah, some more general lots here. A box of Punch books, some annuals, kids annuals, £55. Rupert's and things like that. That wasn't the market, that was in the room, so that was probably not too bad a price for that, although condition wise they do look a little bit ropey. £150, a huge quantity of cartoon comic strip books. Didn't see any Giles's, but there's one at the very back there, but if there was an early Giles in there that might have been worth it. And this is our final lot, so this is £380, and it includes some absolutely stonking issues of New World and Oz, both classic magazines from the 1960s. And that's what made this lot what it was. So in summary then, well, I think there were some bargains there. I think on the whole, the vintage paperbacks went for more than they were really worth, particularly the Penguins, and maybe to some degree the Pans ever so slightly. But I think the Penguins definitely went for more than they were actually worth. Some good stuff there. I hope everyone's pleased with what they bought, but I can't help but feel some people might end up being a little bit disappointed. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little look at what was, well, a quite outstanding auction and not something that comes along every day. If you've enjoyed today's video, do please give it that thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage content. And I shall look forward to seeing you all with another video very soon. Bye.